everybody. Good morning. It is so good to see so many of you kids here for our family nativity. I've got to say there are a lot of angels. We have got lots of angels. If there's anyone else not at the front yet, come on down. There are some youth and some adults here who are like your character leaders. Come and find them so you can get involved. Now, just to set expectations for everybody, this nativity has not been rehearsed with our young people. And it only works if everyone gets involved, which includes all of you grown-ups. Now, I've often found that grown-ups need a little bit of warming up to help you get into things. So we're going to start with a little bit of a game. So it's a really, really simple game. It's a real crowd favorite of mine. It is heads or tails. So we are all going to play, and the stakes are high because the winner gets this dairy milk box, which is like a perfect Christmas present, or you can have it all to yourself. It is totally up to you. There's no judgment. Now, the way we're going to play it is someone is going to flip a coin, and you are going to decide whether you are heads or whether you are tails. And if you lose, you sit down, and we're going to keep going until there is only one person left. Does that make sense? Yes? Yes? Lovely. Right, I'm going to pick on Carl Samuel. Can you come up? Can you come and flip our coin, please? Right, everyone welcome Carl up. Right, everyone else, you're going to have to stand up. Everyone stand up if you can. Sorry? You're in my eye line. Can you flip a coin? Okay, we're going to have a practice run through, okay? Now, no cheating, because me and Carl, we can see you, okay? So I need you to decide, are you heads or are you tails? You decide, and off we go.
Heads.
It's heads. So if you were tails, you would sit down. But it was a practice. So we go again. Everybody, heads or tails?
Heads.
It's heads. So tails, sit down. Okay. Oh, that wasn't many of you. Right, decide again. Heads or tails?
Heads.
It's heads. Okay, Ken, it was heads. You were tails. Sit down. We're watching you. Right, you decide, is it heads or is it tails?
Heads.
It's heads. Are we doing it right? Okay, right. It doesn't matter, Ken. It's fine. We're going to crack on. Right. Heads or tails? Whoa. It's tails. All right. Okay, there's not many of us left in. Right. Heads or tails, show me. It's heads. All right, give me a wave if you're still in. Right, if you're still in, come to the front so we can all see you. Let's give these guys a clap. Okay. Oh, right, we've got quite a few. Okay, right. Everybody, heads or tails? Or someone needs to go tails. Oh, it's heads. I'm so sorry. Who's left in? Okay, heads or tails?
It's still being.
It's heads. Oh, we've got our winner. Well done. Tika. It's Tika. Well done, Tika. And thank you, Carl. Okay, now we're all warmed up and we are ready to get into things. So, our family nativity this morning is called The Mystery of the New Noisy Neighbor. Now, a mystery is something that is difficult to understand or explain. And when we hit Christmas time, I often think that the meaning of Christmas in our culture is something that is difficult for people to understand or explain, like especially someone growing up in our culture. Because Christmas is this incredibly significant Christian holy day, but it's also our culture's biggest secular holiday. And so what we get are these two very different celebrations happening side by side. One with red suits and Christmas trees and Hallmark movies and like this strange but kind of entertaining battle of the TV adverts. And then we've got another with hymns and church celebrations about a wonderful counselor, a mighty God, an everlasting Father, and a Prince of Peace. And we can try and tie them together by saying that like Christmas is a time of light and family and generous giving. But there is so much more to the true biblical meaning of Christmas than just that. And so while our nativity this morning is going to be a little bit of good fun, I also hope that it is a moment where we can enter this Advent season by remembering the true core meaning of Christmas and focusing our hearts on that. So to start with, I just want to take a moment to set the Christmas story in its proper place. Because the Nativity isn't a standalone event that we pull out once a year and like bolt on to Christmas. It is a story that sits at the very heart of our faith and at the very heart of our history and the future of our world, from the beginning to the forever. So for a moment, let's just go way back to when all there was God. And into this vast space, God brought all creation. Like he brought light and planets and stars and oceans and plants and mountains and animals. And at the heart of this beautiful creation, he put a garden. And at the heart of the garden, he put his most precious creation, which was us. And we got to be with God. We got to see him, to walk with him, to talk with him. And this was the way things were always meant to be. Except one day, we made a terrible choice where we didn't want a world with God in charge. And this is sin, and it ruined things. So we were sent outside of the garden into a world which wasn't perfect anymore. And there was this separation between us and God. So that we couldn't walk and talk and be with God in the same way anymore. But God wanted us to remember like how wonderful it is to be with him and to live with him. So over hundreds and hundreds of years, God made promises with people. He spoke through prophets. He did wonderful miracles, and he made his presence available to certain people in his special place. But in a world with sin in it, things were still broken. People kept messing up in terrible ways, deciding to live a life which put God on the sidelines. This was not as it should be, and we were not as we should be. So we needed something more. We needed rescuing. But God had a plan, and he was about to change the direction of the world forever. He was about to put himself center stage and put himself at the heart of his story. So with that background in our minds, can we please welcome up our nativity narrator, Sophie, and our two angel stage hands.
Hello, I'm Mouse.
And I'm a mouse too. And we live in a little place called Bethlehem.
My favourite food is cheese, obviously.
And my favourite food is peanut butter.
And our favourite hobby is
Doing detective work. Yes, we love a good mystery. Sherlock Holmes,
Agatha Christie,
the #1 ladies detective agency.
Dogman.
We love a mystery. And today we're here to retell the Christmas story, which just so happens to be the greatest mystery we have ever tried to solve. And we're going to need all of you to get involved, because there's lots of sounds in this story which you are going to make. So whenever you see a slide that looks like this, you need to make the noise on that slide. So we're going to have a practice, and you need to go for it, okay? So we're going to go through like 5 slides. Off we go. What do we do? Lovely. And then a really big one. Wonderful. Sophie, how do you think they did?
I suppose they'll do.
They'll do. Right, are you ready? Are you guys ready? Right, then let's begin. Just picture our house.
It's got this really cozy bale of hay, and it lives in the downstairs part of an old stone house in Bethlehem.
Now, on the day in question, things had been pretty normal. We'd spent our time avoiding the cat and searching for food. Little did we know that our lives were about to change.
Because suddenly the peace and quiet was shattered by this strange, awful noise.
It was a baby crying.
Where's all that racket coming from, we thought?
That's when we spotted them, our new noisy neighbours. They were quite a strange group of humans. Some had sticks and looked quite hairy.
Some had gifts and looked quite important.
And there was a mum and there was a dad. No. Well done, but not yet. There was a mum and there was a dad, and they were all staring at this noisy human baby. Who were they? Finding out was clearly a job for two mystery-solving mice. So we grabbed our notebook, we grabbed our pencil, and we got to work. We were just about to set off when another sound caught us by surprise.
It was a donkey, and it gave us quite a shock.
Excellent work. We started chatting to the donkey, and he was very happy to help us with our detective investigation.
He told us that he'd been on a journey with the mum and dad of the baby. Apparently, they were called Mary and Joseph.
An emperor called Augustus had ordered a census to be taken through the whole of the Roman Empire. Everyone had to go and register in their hometown. So Joseph had to travel all the way from Nazareth to Bethlehem. He went to register with Mary, who he was going to marry.
On the way, Donkey said he overheard Mary and Joseph say that Manuel was going to be born.
Manuel, we thought. It seemed like an unusual name for a baby, but we wrote it down in our detective book just in case it was a clue. Donkey said that when they arrived at our house, the town was heaving and the upstairs was full, which is why the noisy baby was born downstairs and placed in a feeding trough. After that, the ones with sticks and the ones with gifts came to visit.
We couldn't understand why they'd come to visit. Was this baby special?
We really wanted to know more about these strange people. So Donkey said that we should talk to the sheep because they know everything about the ones with sticks. Apparently, they're actually called shepherds. So off we went.
We trekked up to a hill just outside Bethlehem and met a whole flock of noisy, grass-munching sheep.
We asked the sheep what they could tell us about the ones with sticks and why they had visited the noisy baby. They told us that they'd been minding their own business on the hillside when suddenly a shining angel had appeared in the sky.
When the angel appeared, the ones with sticks went all wobbly with shock. But the angel told them no need to get all wobbly. Instead, jump for joy. Then a whole host of angels appeared, praising God and making a beautiful sound.
Hang on a minute. I am sure this is written down somewhere. Luke chapter 2. An angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news that will cause great joy for all the people. Today, in the town of David, a Savior has been born to you. He is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign to you. You will find a baby wrapped in cloths and lying in a manger."
Wow! So the angels told the shepherds that this little baby is going to be a savior, someone to rescue God's people. That's our first clue. The baby is a rescuer.
Wow, so this baby might actually be someone pretty special, so we're going to keep investigating. The sheep were really helpful, but they couldn't tell us anything about the ones with gifts. So we went chasing after camel to find out more about them. Camel told us that the ones with gifts were from a land far away. They had spotted a special star and they'd gone on a really long journey to follow it and meet this noisy baby.
Apparently, the star had led them to our house.
And the gifts we'd seen the ones with gifts giving were gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Now, I might not know much about noisy babies, but I'm pretty sure these aren't usual gifts for someone who's just been born. Gold, frankincense, and myrrh are gifts fit for a king.
A king? But how? We haven't seen a crown on the baby's head. And surely, kings are born in palaces. And didn't we already have a king called Herod?
Camel told us that it was written a long time ago that someone special from Bethlehem would take charge of God's people. And I'm sure this is written down somewhere too. Micah 5:2. But you, Bethlehem, though you are small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come one who will be ruler over Israel.
That sounds like a king to me. So that's our second clue. The baby is a king.
Because this baby was seen as a king, Camel told us that the ones with gifts had been warned not to go back to King Herod because he was out to kill the baby. You guys need work. So they went home a different way. We're going to do it again. They came home a different way. Right. Let's think over all the clues that we've got so far.
The sheep told us that the baby is a rescuer.
The camel told us that the baby is a king. But what about that first name again?
Manuel.
Yeah, Manuel. The first two make sense, but Manuel?
Maybe we're missing something here.
We must be. We must be saying it wrong. Manuel? Manuel? I mean, that still doesn't make sense. Is there a part of the word missing? Do you guys know? Pardon? Pardon? Emmanuel. I have seen that word before. Isaiah 7:14. Therefore, the Lord himself will give you a sign. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son and will call him Emmanuel. Emmanuel, it means God with us.
So that's our final clue. Emmanuel.
Yes, our new noisy neighbor is King, Rescuer, and Emmanuel, God with us. This baby really is something special. This baby is God come to us.
So, I guess there's only one mystery left to solve. What's his real name?
Well, we could always ask his mum.
Baby Jesus.
Baby Jesus.
Jesus! Wow! So we're the mice that shared a room with Jesus. This is a story I'm never going to get tired of telling. Everyone needs to know this.
And what a story this little Jesus has. He's the God who came into the world as a human so that we could truly get to know him. He came to save us from the consequences of our wrongdoing so that we could be right with God. He loves us so much that he was willing to pay our penalty, dying on a cross. And that's not all. He didn't stay dead. He is alive again. He really is the ultimate king with power and authority over evil and death. And he offers us life to the full with him. Rescuer, king, and Emmanuel, all packed into this tiny little baby. He really is the greatest one who ever lived. Can we give our kids a massive round of applause? And can we also give Sophie and our two angel stagehands a massive round of applause? Amazing. And a huge thank you as well to our city youth who really got involved. Thank you, guys.
Well done, guys. That was so good. Wow, you guys are so wonderful.
Okay, wise men, your job is not done yet because some of you have got a little golden present. You need to now find someone in this room who looks really friendly, who you have never met before. So try and find someone with the biggest smile and give them that present that is from you to them this Christmas. Off you go. And so, the nativity story changes everything. Because in incredible humility, our vast, sovereign, creator God put himself into the story as this tiny, vulnerable baby who needed to be held and touched and comforted. Like, that is amazing. And he didn't do this through kings or princes or palaces. He did it through ordinary people, scholars from a faraway land, shepherds who had no social standing in society, and this young, maybe even teenage couple who were just starting out on married life together. And God did this so that he could draw close to you. Like, Jesus is rescuer, he is king, he is Emmanuel. He is the wonderful gift of God coming to be with us. That's Christmas. And so as we end, I want us to think about how we can respond to this nativity scene. And one of the best ways we can do that is to think about how each of the people involved in Jesus' birth responded. So if we start with Mary, she responded to the angel's message with faith and obedience, ready to play her part and to serve. Joseph made a decision to step towards God's plan for him, even though it didn't look anything like what he expected, and even though there would have been a cost of rumor and ridicule that followed him around. The wise men saw something they didn't understand and which intrigued them, and so they committed to go on a journey to find answers to the questions that they had. But it's the shepherds that I really want to focus on now. These unimportant and uneducated shepherds. Because initially they responded with fear. The Bible passage says that they were terrified. And even though they were scared, the shepherds stayed and they moved past that fear. They listened and they trusted. And by the end, their fear had turned into overflowing joy. And that joy moved them to carry this good news that they'd heard to other people. And I just think that joy of the shepherds is such a beautiful thing because it shows the transformation that can take place when we draw near to Jesus. And it shows that when we truly believe the message of Christmas from the bottom of our hearts, that God came as a king to rescue the world, to be with us, then like the shepherds, our response is one of overflowing joy. So I'm just going to end with this poem. What is the point of angels and shepherds and camels and stars, you say? Is it just a nice story to tell the children to celebrate Christmas Day? It's not just a story. It's not just for kids. It is the hinge on which history swings. The Bethlehem baby grew into a man who challenged all power and kings. He taught us that love is better than hate, that serving beats being in charge. He showed us the value of each human life, the little as well as the large. And then on a cross, he died for that dream. He died to take all of our wrongs away and walked 3 days later right out of his tomb to turn death's dark night into day. And that is the good news that the angels proclaimed, the heart of all Jesus would do. A new life for now, a new life forever. That is his Christmas present to you. So let's be like the shepherds now. Let's stand and sing with joyful hearts.